Hi everyone, so today I want to show you how I made this card. So I'm calling it a 6x6 diamond gatefold flap card. Wasn't really sure what to call it. I saw something similar over on Pinterest by Stampin' Time Met Relinda, but there was no tutorial. Well, there was a blog, but it didn't take you to any actual instructions or measurements or anything. So I've kind of made up my own thing based off the photo. I don't even know if this is what she made. She might have made something different. I have a feeling it's a slightly different card, but I'm not entirely sure. So anyway, yeah, so I've got this top on the front which kind of holds the front gatefold. I've got to be careful because these little berries are not quite dry. So you open it up like that, and then you've got this flap here, and then that's where you write your message. So that is the card for today. So yeah, the papers I've used on here are my Yuletide Wishes paper pad, which is available in my Ko-fi shop, and it will be available on Amazon as a paper pad. I've put all the links in the description below. The greeting that I've used on the front there, that Merry Christmas, that's also from my my digital kit paper pad as well, the Yuletide Wishes. So yeah, so let's get into it. Okay, so before we start, I just want to say if there are any little glitches on the screen, any little flickers or anything like that, or anything wrong with the audio, apologies. I have no idea why it's doing it. For some reason now my video just keeps glitching and I get little flashes across the screen and just every now and then. So if that happens, I'm very sorry. I'm trying to sort it out, but I don't know what I'm doing, just how I'm sorting it. So just bear with me. Anyway, we carry on. Right, for this card you're going to need a piece of 12 by 12. Now if you don't have 12 by 12, you can use a 6 by 12 and then add the flap on. So with this one here, I didn't actually have a red that was 12 by 12, so I've used a 6 by 12 for the actual card, and then this flap piece I've added on later, and you can see the tab at the back there. I prefer to use a 12 by 12 just because it's neater. You haven't got to worry about that. So if you're using a 12 by 12, this is what you need to do. If you're using a 6 by 12, then just follow the lower half of my scores, and then the top half you just need to add a flap on. But I can go through that as we get on with it. So for the 12 by 12, you want to start by scoring at 6 inches, and then we're going to turn our card round. And what we want to do is we are then going to score at 3 inches, but only up to this line here. And also at 9 inches, but only up to that line there. And then I'm just going to make a mark at 4 inches. In fact, let me turn it round. So I'm going to turn it round now. So I've got my 3 and my 9 at the bottom. And then at the top, I'm just going to make a little mark at 4. And a little mark at 8. Now you could score down if you want, so you know where to cut. Maybe I will do that. So I'm just going to score down like this. So these are going to be cut lines. So like that. And then that is all you want for now. So I'll put up on the screen now a picture of what that looks like. Okay, so next up we're going to take our metal ruler and a Stanley knife or craft knife, and we're going to go along that 6-inch line, and we're literally just going to cut from the 4-inch line down and out, and from the 8-inch line down and out. So you end up with that. So I've got my 3-inch and my 9-inch lines here, and then my 4 and my 8 there. So we're now going to cut along the 4 and the 8. So we're literally going to end up with like a funny shaped piece of card. I was trying to think of what shape it was going to be, but I'm afraid I can't. So there's one piece. So this is now a 4 by 6 piece that's kind of spare, but these can come in handy for other things. So we'll go ahead and take this one off. So we've now got an upside down T. So what I'm going to do now is fold. I'm going to turn this over just because of the way my score lines are, and I'm going to fold this in like this, and that is going to make your kind of gatefold card. So that's like that, and then this one comes in, meets in the middle like that. So there's your gatefold section. And then this bit just folds down like that, and that makes the flap piece, and then you can hide your greeting underneath that. Okay, so that's what you should end up with. So that folds down, and then these two fold on top. So now we need to shape the front of our gatefold. So what I'm going to do is bring my cutting mat back in again, and then on the inside I'm just going to draw in pencil from the bottom corner up to this top, and then from here up to here. Now you don't need to draw all the way. What I'm actually going to do is just draw this top one first. So we're going to go from here down to that bottom corner, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to draw down and kind of stop kind of halfway, and then I'm going to do the same on this one. So I'm going to go from that bottom right hand corner up to the top left, and I'm just going to pick up where we left off there. So I've got a little bit of an overlap. I can rub that that pencil line out like that. So we now have, if you can see, like a V, like a sideways V, and we're going to do the same on this side. So again, I've done it a bit fainter on that one, so you can't see it quite so well. Now you do need to be quite accurate with this, because if you're not that accurate, then when you come to do pattern papers, you do have to kind of trim them to fit. So now we're going to go ahead and we're actually going to cut along those lines that we've just done. Okay, so you should end up with that hopefully. So these are your little extra pieces. So these can go in the bin, you don't need these pieces. Right, so now we need to go ahead and start decorating. So obviously that's like that, that comes in like that, and that's your kind of card. Let's start with the easy pieces, which is this piece here. So this piece here, this is actually from my old Holly and Ivy kit, this one. The rest of the papers that I'm going to be using are from my Yuletide Wishes paper pack, which is new. So this is the new one. So the A4 digital kit is available over in my Ko-fi shop, and it will be available as a paper pad in A4 and 8.5 by 8.5 on Amazon. And then this is the 8.5 by 8.5 inch pad. Again, as I said, it will be available on Amazon. But yeah, so the rest of the papers are using that, but this one is actually from the Holly and the Ivy kit. So you'll need one piece of pattern paper that is 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead now and just stick that on the front there. Okay, so next up you need 2 strips of pattern paper that are 1 inch by 5 3/4, and those are going to go in here. And what you want to do is just make sure that you've got an even border around these 3 edges here. And then after that we are going to stick in a piece of white card, which is 3.5 by 5 3/4, and that's going to nicely nestle in the middle there, and you're going to have all nice even borders everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and stick those down. Right, so you should end up with that hopefully, so that can flap down like that, and you've got a nice little border here, and then these come in. So now we need to sort out these pieces here. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So what you're going to need is, and if you can think of better measurements for this, then please do, but the best that I could come up with was, if you have 2 pieces of pattern paper, and I've gone for different papers, so you can alternate, and if you want to, it might be that you want these 2 to be the same and then these 2 to be different, but I did it so that whatever was here is then here, and whatever is here is then here, and then kind of did it opposite on the inside. But obviously you decorate how you want to decorate. So I've got 2 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 5 3/4, and what I'm going to do just to start with is I'm going to take this one here, and I want this one to be on the left, and I want the red to be, so I want this one to be up here, and then the red to be here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this from the top right to the bottom left. Now obviously one thing that probably isn't ideal is the fact that the angles are going to be different to the angles that I've got on my paper, but anyway, so we're going to cut that. I'm going to turn it round so I can at least cut it. We're going to cut that down there. Now this probably will need just trimming slightly and adjusting. But for now, we're just going to go for it. So that's that way around like that. And then this is going to go on here. Now, as you can see, my angles aren't completely right. They're not too bad, but they are a little bit off. So I'm just going to trim that down a tiny bit more. That is a better angle. So that's good. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick that down. Now I'm going to do it bit by bit just because it just makes it easier to keep track of. It is going to be quite busy. Probably could have done with some slightly different patterns. But anywho, this is what we have. So let's stick this down. Okay, so I've stuck that down. So now we've got this piece left. And I'm going to put this bit on the inside, and I think I'm going to put it here. I could, if I wanted to, I could put it over this way. It just means that then the mistletoe would be going the other way, but I could do that. But I don't think I want the mistletoe going up. I want the mistletoe going down, so we're going to do it this way around. So I'm going to stick that onto there like that, and again, just need to alter that angle a tiny bit. So we're going to go ahead and just alter the angle and then stick that down. Okay, so that's the inside, that's the outside. So I've got opposite triangles. So I'm going to repeat the whole process again with this piece, and then I'll come back to you. Just a little side note, so with this one I need to go the other way. So instead of going this way round, I need to go this way round because of the way that this is angled. So just bear that in mind as well. Okay, so once you've stuck those down, you should end up with that on the front, and then you open up and you've got that on the inside. Now, I think if I did this again, I probably would make it so maybe these two are the same. It's just that then you really do need to have a non-directional paper, otherwise, yeah. Well, it wouldn't work, to be fair. You'd have to cut two triangles or something because of the direction of them. So we're going to go ahead now and sort out these triangles here. So what you need to do is, in total you need 4 pieces of pattern paper. I've done 2 of each patterns, and what we're going to do is on the back, so these measure 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and along the top of one we just want to make a mark at 1 3/8, and then we are going to draw a line, and we are going to cut from that mark to the bottom right hand corner and from that mark to the bottom left hand corner. And I'm actually going to stack these and cut them at the same time. I would like to cut all 4 at the same time, but we're just going to go with 2 at the same time. It's a bit worrying, it's a bit daring, but anyway. If you're using double-sided tape, you might want to put your tape on first before you go ahead and cut. So let's just cut this down, and then this should be the right size for your card. So there I have 2 triangles, and they should fit in there, which they do nicely. So that's those 2. I'm going to go ahead and cut the red ones out as well. Okay, so I've got my 4 triangles. I'm going to go ahead and stick them down. Okay, so that's what we've got so far. So now I'm going to go ahead and put a topper on. So I've managed to sort of sort myself out with a little topper. This is using this joy die. I can't remember where it's from. I have a feeling it might have been a Spellbinders or a Crafter's Companion or something like that. Anyway, so it's an old one, it's in my stash. So I've just cut it out of some matte mirror. I've cut the joy letters that go on top out of gold glitter, and then I've mounted it onto a red glitter oval and a green normal oval. So that's going to go in the middle there. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick that down. Okay, so then when you close it up, you've got that at the front with the little letters poking through, and then obviously you open it up and then you've got the flap here, so you've got space to write, and it all folds flat and fits in an envelope for a 6x6 card. So I'm quite pleased with it. I'd probably add a few more, maybe some little gems on the outside or something. It'd be quite nice if, like I did with the other one, so obviously with this one, the topper kind of acts as, and I can't, these are still a bit wet, so I don't want to fiddle too much with it, but I can secure this underneath the topper because I put this on a foam pad. So there's a gap, if you can see there's a little bit of a gap there, so you can actually secure it underneath, whereas this one I decided not to do that, so it just literally, so you got the letters joy that are poking through, but the actual foliage is stuck behind. So you could have it so it was on top if you wanted to. If you wanted to, you could add it actually onto the one side, and then, you know, you open it up and then it's just coming off one side, but I quite like to be able to see the angles, so I thought I'd leave it like that. So yeah, so there you go. So there are the two cards, both made using my Yuletide Wishes pad, which is available over in my Ko-fi shop as a digital pack. And it's also available hopefully soon. At the time of recording, it's not currently available on Amazon, but I'm sure it will be very soon. So that will be available on Amazon in A4 and 8.5 by 8.5. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and we'll see you again next time. Bye!